Hello, it's been a while since I've done this. I'm not sure I remember how to vlog, but today is the 27th of December. Christmas is over, Boxing Day is over, I've been back at home, I've had a lovely time, but now I'm off to do the thing that I do every year, which is to lock myself away in a hotel room for a couple of nights, review the year that has just gone, so spend a day or so looking back on this year, comparing what my goals were to where I actually got to, and then spend the second day planning next year. So just plotting out what I want next year to be about, the big things I want to get done, the systems I want in place, all of that good stuff. If you watched episode 1 of this vlog a few weeks back, you would have seen when I was in Silverstone staying in the Hilton that I said it was nice, it was a brand new hotel, so I was going to go there and do it. So that's exactly what I've done. I booked a hotel room there for a couple of nights and I'm going to get there now. Now check-in is at 3 p.m. I'll get there around 3 p.m. and check-out is on Friday, so in 2 days time at 11 a.m. So I have 44 hours to review this year and to plan next year. I'm going to drive there now, listen to Ali Abdal's new podcast with Ryan Holiday. That's the plan on the way there. I'll get there in about an hour and I'll catch up with you as I'm checking into the hotel. So, just got to the room and this is very different to the room I stayed in last time here. I've had an upgrade. So we've got this little suite with a breakout area, TV, sofa, a little free drinks voucher. Nice. There is a toilet in here. I think I've got 2 toilets. I'm not sure I'm going to make use of 2. There is a balcony out there, a little seating area here, and then through this door is the bedroom. Nice. Big TV. Not sure I'm going to use that, but I've bought a HDMI cable just in case. Turn on these lights. What's in here? Shower. And a second toilet. I have my choice of 2 toilets. Wonderful. Mirror, there I am, looking very windswept. It is windy out there. Little sink, and then out here, although it is so windy that I'm going to be spending exactly 0 time out here, is a balcony. Another balcony there. And there's Silverstone. So this is home for the next 2 days to review this year and plan next year. Right, so everything is set up, I am good to go. I am going to do one half of what I'm here to do this evening and then wake up tomorrow, have breakfast and do the second bigger half tomorrow. So today is all about reviewing this year, trying to work out what went well, what didn't go so well, the goals I set at the beginning of this year, which of those did I hit, which did I miss and why, which are no longer relevant, what new goals came into play, trying to get just like a good view of the year for a couple of reasons. Number one, just to almost prove to myself that momentum is happening. I find it very difficult in the moment to realize when it's like the middle of July and you're a few months into the year and you're not quite sure where you're heading with your goals, whether or not you're making any progress. Whereas an opportunity like this at the end of the year, or indeed at any point in the year, so long as you remove yourself from day-to-day life, find a way to kind of zoom out and look at everything, is really nice. But then also to learn any lessons, right? This time last year, I sat in a similar hotel room in Dublin. I did this process in Dublin for a few years in a row. I couldn't be bothered going to Dublin this year. This time last year, I set a bunch of goals, and some of them I have not hit. Some of them are no longer relevant. Some of them I thought I was on track for, and I wasn't. Some I forgot about, right? What lessons can I learn from all of that? If next year is a year where I want to hit my goals, as I'm sure is the same for you, then before I go about setting those goals, I think it's really important to first work out why I didn't hit the goals that I had this year, or at least some of them, and what lessons that can teach me. I normally follow the process in this book here, Grip by Rick Pastoor, and if you've listened to the podcast, if you watched similar videos of me talking about this process before, you will know this book because it's the one that I have used for the past few years. And for the reviewing of the year and for some of the goal setting, I'm going to be following this. So primarily today, I'm going to be following the process outlined in Grip to look back on the year just past. But then tomorrow, I'm going to mix things up slightly. So this book here, The Life Brief by Bonnie Wan, is out on the 16th of January, I believe. And I spoke to Bonnie for the podcast in a conversation that you will hear in a few weeks' time. And she outlines in this book some really interesting steps to create these kind of briefs for your life in different areas so that you have this really easy to look back on piece of writing that makes you feel really excited in any area of life, whether that's finances or fitness or family or something that doesn't begin with an F, so that when it is the middle of the year, when you're trying to remember what your goals were and why you're doing what you're doing, you can look back on this brief and in a few words feel really fired up, feel really excited, and have that clear direction, right? Over the next couple of days, I will show you as much as I can. I'll explain each little bit as I'm doing it, because between those 2 books and things that I've learned over the past few years and other advice that I've heard, I have a little bit of a process in place now of how I review my year and how I plan my year. So I'm going to get started, and as I do that, I'll tell you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how it kind of plays into this wider picture building of the previous year. But let's go do it. Okay, terrible update. The Nespresso machine is not working. What a real world problem. But I have made a Lemsip instead, because I'm not sure if you can tell from my voice, but I'm struggling right now. I have a cold or flu or COVID or all of the above. No idea. Don't feel great today. So I'm going to have a Lemsip instead of a coffee and hopefully feel a little bit better. So what you're about to see me do is populate this document here, which is a template that I've made over previous years. I'm going to go through my camera roll and my calendar for each month of 2023 and just pull out the things that stand out. So there's no process to follow here as such. Just if I see a photo which triggers a memory or an event or an occasion or a feeling or something that was happening in any given month, I write it down. Same in the calendar. If there's something in there and I'm like, oh yeah, we went to this place, we had this client meeting, I did this thing, I podcasted with this person, that goes in there. So once I finish populating the first half of this document, I will have a fairly representative rundown of what happened this year, which is useful because it's so easy to forget so many of the things that will be in here. If you try this yourself, you'll realize, go through your camera roll, go through your calendar, go through anything that is a record of time, and you'll realize how long a year is, how long ago the beginning of a year was, and just how much you get done in a year. So that's part 1. And then part 2 is reviewing categories. So for the categories of work, family, friends, health, wellness, skills, side projects, giving, and finances, running through these 4 questions. Number 1, what did I do? Number 2, what didn't I do? Number 3, what am I happy with and what am I not happy with? And number 4, what gave me loads of energy and what definitely didn't, right? So once I've understood exactly what's happened this year by doing the camera roll and the calendar that I'm about to do, then diving into these areas, right? What went well? What didn't go well? What did I not do that I wanted to do? What made me feel really good? What made me feel bad? And therefore I should avoid that. This will give me a concrete view of what actually happened this year in every single area. No stones are left unturned once you follow this process. You can't hide the inconvenient truths about what you did or didn't do. You can't hide the awkward feelings that you feel towards a year. This is really useful. So the time is 4:30 now. This will probably take me 2 or 3 hours. We'll do a time lapse. I'll catch up with you afterwards and I'll let you know how I got on.
Most of the work went easy, never had a bring and I done it on my jacks. Them boy there talking smack, everybody wanna talk but ain't talking facts. D9 just called on my phone like, Jay, how you stacking up all these bands? And I told him I live to invest, like I say with my chest, that's part of the plan. Sip on my drink in a penthouse with a bad B, I ain't hearing haters. With them chicks, them know that I'm dangerous, 6'4" like I play for the Lakers. J1 cool down cause you're blazing. Everybody wanna take shots at me, carry on cause I'm feeling famous.
Right, so it's 7:45 p.m. and I've just finished what I need to do today. I cut a few corners towards the end because I'm feeling rough and I'm feeling ill, and I had the general kind of gist of what I needed to do done from a reviewing last year perspective. So this document is like 4,000 words of just going through point by point everything that happened in 2023. And then I skipped over some of the middle part, which is like a table where I review what went well and what didn't for each little section, because when I look at the points here, the 4,000 words of summary of the year, without really needing to go into the granular details of each section, although I did work and I did, what did I do? I did work and I did family and I might do finances. The other sections, without going into any detail, like I've already painted the picture of the year, and by that I mean that I've written the summary. Let me grab it. So I say this year wasn't the year I wanted, but it was the year I needed. And by that I mean that many of the goals I set in 2023 were either missed or forgotten about, resulting in a fairly underwhelming and uneventful year. But where outputs were missing, quality inputs filled their space. I spent more time with friends and family, got closer to a lot of people, and became in many ways closer to myself. If next year is going to be a return to being on the offensive, then this year was setting the solid internal foundations that I'll need to lean on in 2024. This year was good for the soul, and years like this are important every once in a while. Now that sounds very poetic, but essentially what I mean by that is that this year was uneventful, right? I did everything I needed to. As I say that phrase constantly on the podcast, right? I did everything I needed to this week, but I didn't really do much more than that. I didn't push myself from a content perspective. I didn't remain consistent in the gym. And yes, I ran a few half marathons and we did grow the business, and there are like good news stories in amongst the year, but as a year generally, it was a little bit chill. It was kind of a stepping off of the gas slightly year to build other areas of my life, to be quite honest, right? To see my friends more often, which is something that I used to be terrible at, to get closer to myself, as I say in there. And I don't mean that in some sort of like woo spiritual way. I just mean that I didn't in previous years give myself enough time to develop as a person, right? I'm 28 now, but I don't think that people really stop developing. And there's a very big difference between self-development in the kind of internet sense of watching content and the more quiet self-development where you just learn more about yourself and become more comfortable with who you are. And I guess this is all just part of growing up. But that is the summary of last year. And the whole of tomorrow is going to be like big picture and granular planning for next year. So like big picture goals, big picture life brief stuff, then also putting in place systems and spreadsheets and tracking and all of these different things so that when I hit the ground running next week, when I'm back in the office and I want to get moving on these goals, the systems that I'm going to need are already there, right? So that's the plan for tomorrow. I still feel quite ill, but it's okay. Tomorrow can be chill. I've got lots and lots of time to get this done. I've got nowhere else to be. I've got nothing else to do. So I'm going to go to bed. I'll see you tomorrow and we will make a plan for next year. Morning, the time is just before midday and I'm ready to start planning next year. So last night I went to bed really early. Between like 9:30 and 2:30 in the morning, I had the best sleep ever. I had all my sleep supplements. I take magnesium, L-theanine and ashwagandha, and I had a chamomile tea and it knocked me out. I had the best sleep ever. Blackout curtains in here. It was dark, it was silent, there's nobody in this hotel. I was tired, I'm ill. Such a good sleep. But something woke me up at 2:30 and then I couldn't get back to sleep until like 5:30 probably, which means that by the time I woke up again this morning around 10, I'd missed breakfast. So I've started the day in the way of every true champion and gone to McDonald's to get breakfast. But I'm back in the hotel now and I'm going to begin planning some goals for next year. Now, I think I'm just going to kind of freestyle it. I've done this process for enough years in a row now to know roughly how this works. There's a few bits I want to try, but I also want today to feel very loose and very kind of unstructured, in the sense that I could sit down for an hour and make a to-do list of goals for this year, sure, but there's the stuff that I've been doing with the Life Brief book, there are thoughts that I've had over the past few months, there's stuff that kind of hasn't quite come to the surface, so I'm just going to spend maybe 3 or 4 hours just walking around the hotel room, listening to some music, adding to this list, removing from this list, changing wording, considering things, Googling stuff, researching, just to really put together what feels like a solid set of ambitions for next year. And then once that's in place, the second half of today is going to be kind of editing down, combining pieces, rethinking certain goals, but then on top of that, putting in place the spreadsheet, the life tracking stuff, the systems to support me as I get started with these goals. As I get started, I'll explain to you what I'm doing, and hopefully by the end of today, by the time I go to sleep, I will have a at least reasonable idea of the kind of things I want to be aiming for next year. So let's go.
Fucking up all these feelings, calm, heartless, blow back, then I cut. Ayy, Bethany came with a chicken, it wasn't seasoned, so I told her to cut. But the back looked big from a distance when she walked off, so I told her stop. Tit ting with the breast look gorgeous, baby, buck off your back, get ton. Ayy, swear down life is a movie. I can never give sex to a groupie. Went up Radford quickly, just to make a swift bang girl with Cooley. Come a long way from Southgate, now I'm out here trying to make that smoothie. I was out there with a bad bee, she a bad bee, but she drives man loony. Bill it, bun it, dash it, it's a madness when I step in the place. And nobody wanna put work in, but these dumb pricks want a piece of the cake. I pull up like nothing ain't friendly, bro, send me that key to the safe. I want it all and I want it now. I pull so hard like I'm E to the A.
I've got some good news. I managed to make the Nespresso machine work, which is great news, because it's been bothering me that it didn't work yesterday. Little update. So the time is 4 p.m, hence coffee, last coffee of the day, because I actually want to sleep tonight. What have I been up to? I have set goals for next year. They're all objective. Now, this is a mistake I made last year. Some of the goals I set were almost statements about how I wanted my life to be in some sort of way. And they were really difficult to measure. And in the middle of the year, when a goal is difficult to measure, you can't really tell whether you need to correct course, because you can't tell whether you're heading towards it or not. Every goal that I have set this year is in some way numerical, and it is in some way objective and binary. I will either hit it or I will not, and therefore at intervals throughout the year it will be far easier to know whether I'm heading towards it or not. So that's update number 1. Update number 2, I've translated those goals and a bunch of other things that I've been thinking about and planning for the last few weeks into a new automated setup in Google Calendar. So all of the recurring tasks, whether that's gym visits, running, going for walks, certain meetings, certain content things, that's all in my calendar, recurring every single week. I've spoken about that at length in previous videos, so you can go to my YouTube and find that if you want more details on that. But that has also been done for the first quarter of next year. That's all in place. Update number 3, I have taken a bunch of different tracking that I've done over the years inside of Google Sheets and created what I think will be a really comprehensive, a really useful life tracking spreadsheet. Everything from finances to fitness to habits to weekly routines and goals, and also tracking of the things that I want to do this year. So all of those numerical binary targets, tracking a kind of cumulative count of how many times I have been for a run, been to the gym, whatever it might be, so that again I can see whether or not I'm making progress. Now I'm going to have this coffee and get into some more kind of granular planning. By the way, this is the most first world life hack ever, but if you can have a second laptop, this is the one I write the book on. It's like a 2017 MacBook Pro, nothing installed on it. The battery lasts, I mean, I've been on this for 5 hours non-stop, and it's still on 50%. I just run Google Docs on it. So useful. My main laptop is over there. This guy has been keeping me company today. If you have a second laptop, or if you plan to get a laptop next year, keep your old one if you can, delete everything off of it and just use it as a little lightweight thing. So useful. What else am I doing today? So I'm going to sort out my calorie tracking, supplement tracking, because I've mixed that up recently. I think I spoke earlier about the sleep supplements I'm taking. Just make some sort of tracking of that. Put in place a gym plan inside of Google Sheets. I have been so flip-floppy this year about the gym, so I just want something in place that I'm going to blindly follow for the first quarter. Do some of the life brief stuff based on the goals that I've set just now. I got some decisions to make about the big, silly running challenge that I want to do next year. I plan tomorrow at some point to sit over there and record the footage that will turn into an announcement video for it, I think. So I need to make some decisions, get some things in concrete. God, I'm nervous even at the thought of that challenge, but that's getting decided today. Look at some business automation stuff. So there are almost definitely tasks in the business that we can be automating, that I can be automating, frankly, that I'm not. So looking into what can be put in place in the first few weeks in January just to make things more efficient from that respect. So that's everything I have done. That's everything I am doing. I will catch up with you later on when we will wrap up this year planning, and then I'm going to get some food. By the way, the lighting here is awful, I've just realised, but it's okay. We'll wrap things up, and then tomorrow we'll film some videos, and then I'll be off home. See you soon.
I was out there like I mentioned before with the bends of my balls and the end it was clear. Fed pulled up in the coupe, it was mad, it was boots, man, I thought I was catching a case. I was 13, I was young, still taking your lunch in the end and I'm taking your bay. I'm still J to the A to the Y to the 1 8, nobody taking my place, you fucking stupid. 19 in the charts, I do this. Top 10 on the feet, are clueless. 10 mil on the tune, I'm moving. Small boy, don't talk about losing. Step 2 to the place, all bougie. Bro, check out the back on Lucy. If I come, then I come in my Goonies.
Okay, I think I have done everything I need to. So what have I done? I have reviewed last year to have a good understanding of what happened and what went well and what didn't and what lessons I could learn. And then I've summarized that into a kind of coherent narrative so that when I look back on last year and try and pull lessons from it either now or well into the future, I don't need to remember the 4,000 words I typed into that document and every little thing that happened. I just need a kind of considered bigger picture view of the year. And so that's what I did yesterday. And then today I have set some goals for each area of my life. They are all objectively measurable. They are all very clear. I have then translated those goals using, in some ways, that book, The Life Brief, into a series of briefs, a series of action-based statements that I can look at in the moment when I'm trying to refresh the direction I'm heading next year and remind myself where I'm going without having to get into the granular details of every single tick item in the goals. So it's more of a direction than a destination at that point. And then using all of that, I've created a life tracking spreadsheet, which is basically just a massively upgraded version of the Google Sheet that I've been using for the past few years. There are habits in there, there are goal tracking, there's finances, there's fitness, there's what else is in there? Like a reset plan, so that on days where I'm not feeling it, there's kind of different practices I can follow to get going again the next day without falling into a rut. And then just over in the other room there, this evening after dinner, I've been working on some areas of the business that we can either systemize or automate slightly just to speed things up and make us more efficient, to make my time more efficient, right? To win back some time next year, because as I look at all of my goals, as I look at the calendar template, that's another thing I did, the calendar template I've created, what will be the biggest challenge next year is using every single pocket of time I have to lean into the fairly significant goals I have in so many areas of life next year, right? The business, my content, the book, fitness, and the running challenge that you'll hear about soon, and all of these different things, whilst finding enough time to spend time with my family and my friends and have somewhat of a social life and relax, right? Time is going to be massive next year, and so freeing up time where I can, planning time really appropriately. And also, like I've spoken about in the past on this vlog, finding a balance between managing energy and planning time. So I think that is it. The time right now is 8:30 at night. I'm still quite ill, suspiciously COVID-like. This cough that I now have, I don't feel great, but I've done everything I need to. This has been a really worthwhile couple of days. I'm excited for next year. Thank you for being here this year in whatever capacity you have been, whether you've just watched this video and you've never watched anything of mine before, whether you regularly watch the videos and listen to the podcast and sign up to the email newsletter, which, by the way, if you're not part of, there will be a link underneath this video. Go to seanspooner.co.uk, scroll to the pink bit, click on that. Every single Monday I'm going to email you the very best ideas that I'm discovering as I read research and insights and knowledge whilst researching the book. You don't want to miss it. Click on that link. But yes, this is all to say, that is everything. I'm probably going to be in bed tomorrow recovering from this illness, but thank you for watching, and I will see you very soon in the new year.